which is what we talked about, is the fact, what's the outcome? What is the takeaway you want people to have? And that's what we saw. People had the takeaway of what we wanted them to get. So when you're thinking about, it's not what you're going to give, it's what's the takeaway that people are going to have through their interaction and learning. So it was a lot of application based. I thought was great. You're on mute, Chisa.
Listen, I'm so excited, and I had some feedback, so I muted myself, and I'm like excited. So I'm like, okay, we couldn't hear anything. So I think that, when we talk about the successful events, we always want to look at the outcomes, because a lot of times I think people want to do stuff because it's beautiful, it looks nice, they want to take pictures, and I think that that's great. But you also should come away learning something, meeting somebody, and I'm glad that a lot of people were able to get that from this particular event. So Sylvia, tell them a little bit about you, and then give them a little bit about what you thought.
I am Sylvia Reed. I'm a pivotal coach, and my position in life is to help individuals who are going through transitions or pivotal moments in their life, and I help them not lose their mind while they're going through it. That's basically, in a nutshell, what I do. So what I thought of the Black Biz Summit it was phenomenal. I was actually talking to someone who was there a couple of days ago, and they were like, you know what? I learned so much from that summit. And yeah, so I just wanted to give you that feedback. But for me, myself, you know business, and you are well equipped. But when you go to summits like this, it fills in some gaps that you didn't even know you had. So for me, it was a gap filler. It highlighted areas of opportunities that I had, and it gave me resources for the things I didn't know I needed. So for me, I thought it was 2 thumbs up.
All right. And I think that, I feel like you can learn something. So whenever we go to anything, or whenever you're hosting a successful event, I think personally, I go with the intention, even if I kind of know the topic, but I go with the intention of feeling like I'm going to learn something, I'm going to meet somebody. And when people kind of set up successful events, I think describing what the expectation is going to be ahead of time is, to me, like a key element of it. Because if you tell me who the speakers are, if you tell me what the topics are, I kind of know already what I'm interested in going to. And even if I knew some things, I'm always going to learn something from a session. So I think that's great. Now, what was your favorite part?
Well, first off, I want to say thank you to you two for your participation in the Black Biz Summit. It was greatly appreciated. LaShawn, I sat into your class for a little while. I love the way that you teach. I love it. I think it's great. Sylvia, thank you for doing what you do.
Yes.
All the extras, the extra thing you did, we appreciate it. All of that. All right. Understand that. Know that. Now, for me personally, I guess the thing that I was most impressed with was the level of engagement. While I was around and in the midst of doing some work or whatever, I was able to check out people and just see how they were interacting and how intent they look to be, to be learning and needing what they needed to know, and learning what they needed to know about what they needed to do next in order to get to the point to where they felt like they were, going to make some headway in their business or whatever it is that they were trying to do at the time. So just being able to just look around and engage how people were interacting, that was my favorite part of it.
I like that. Now, with everything that happened, because there was a lot going on throughout the course of the day, we had multiple sessions going on. And to be honest, this is not the biggest summit that we've done. But I would say, to me, this was one of my favorites. And it could possibly be the title. So when we named it Black Biz Summit, I think it was very intentional, because we said, okay, well, we wanted to do something that was going to be like a signature event for Give It to the People. And we also looked at just the climate. We looked at what people started paying attention to, but we've always paid attention to, because when you're Black, you're going to be Black, and it's not like you're going to change that. And I think that all of the attention that was starting to be paid to Black business during COVID coming out of that, we definitely wanted to make sure that there was a summit that was dedicated to it. And so even though we didn't, try to exclude people, and people came that weren't Black, right? But the overwhelming amount of Black people that came out, and I think I was impressed by the men that came out as well, because a lot of times we attract women, and so I think that just having so many Black men in the building was always a good thing too. So what were your thoughts on that?
Definitely, that was great. But one thing I'm going to add to the mix of that was also the fact that even the presenters, the exhibitors at the table were also helping folks out. That some people thought they were you and Mont, because folks were like, "Oh, you're so helpful," and it was like, "No, no, no, we're here with you." But everybody was just so helpful to each other, and there was no. Sometimes when you go to events, it seems like people are competing and saying, "I've got to get somewhere." It was like everybody felt like a family environment who was there. Everybody was there. It was like the best way I say it, and it was said there, it was the village. It created a village environment. So when it was given it to the people, it was a village of people who were all willing to give to each other, and they were open to even sharing when the facilitators were talking. They raised their hand and gave feedback. And I think that's the piece that's missing for all is the village. And then the second thing, very quickly, was one of the goals that you had for this. And being a presenter, I knew this was one of the goals, was that we all talked about, and everything that we've all been doing during COVID, people are tired of being talked to and talked at. The thing about this was that people were talking with each other, that folks left away with some action item that they could do, some action item that they may not have thought about, whether it's connecting with someone or something. So it wasn't about just being a sponge and getting information. Folks got information they could wring out and take it back, not only to that village they were there, but back to their village and expound it out. And I thought that was really great. And especially men being in the room, taking on that leadership role that men sometimes have taken a back seat to, that women love. Women love a man that takes that action, because there's a difference between a male and a man. And just seeing that in action, just like there's a difference between a female and a woman. It's not about how you're born, it's about how you carry yourself and take on that role and responsibility. And each person who was there took on the responsibility of their business. I am serious about my business, and what can I get to advance my business? And I thought that was great.
Oh wow, that's you know what, that's a profound statement. And I don't think anybody, because this is just my personal goal, so you just let me know that it was achieved. I think that making people feel welcome is a key element to a successful event. I've been to events and the person at the door was nasty, and it turned me off from when I first got there. Or stuff that's like disorganized all over the place. It turns me off. The food not being ready when you say it's supposed to be ready, that's a huge turn off for me. So, like when we were finished and it was lunchtime, we were like, look, lunch is outside, go on outside, use the food trucks, go to Safari Eats. So it, to me, was one of those things where I like that. I like things to feel like a family. I like people to come by themselves and then feel like they can, communicate with other people, that they don't have to just sit in the back of the room. They don't have to sit by themselves. And I think that having that welcoming environment just from the beginning was definitely one of the things that, that we strive to do. And I think it makes the event even better, because from the door all the way when you walk in it to when you walk out, you get that, just that energy that people give you when they, when they really like something. And I saw a lot of smiles. You seen a lot of smiles that day? Yeah. Yes. There was so many smiles. Like, that was excellent.
I said people look like they really enjoyed being there.
They did.
And they use their time well.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sylvia, with you, because Sylvia took on a role, which is to me one of the most important roles, which is telling me what to do. So Sylvia always makes sure that, things are happening when they're supposed to happen, that you're eating, that you get something to drink. But I think it's just more than that. It's the paying attention to what's going on to other people as well. So like if you saw somebody lost, Marvis was also there helping out. Marvis was directing people and telling people where to go and making sure that they had, what they needed for sure, right? So when it came to that, I think that the volunteers that you have at an event that, to me, and this is an important key, right, are empowered to take on their role. And I hate micromanaging people. So once people know exactly what to do and then they just take on and do their thing and run it how they need to run it, I think you can feel more confident in the success of your event because of the fact that your people know what they're doing. So what would you say, Sylvia, to like anybody who's like, look, I want to be a volunteer, or anybody who's putting on an event who needs to make sure that they do have great volunteers?
I think the number one thing is, as a volunteer, you can participate, but you still have to be alert. I was able to take in information, but my goal and my purpose there was to make sure that Chisa and Mont had what they needed. I knew going in, that's what I was there for. And so therefore, even though I was listening and I was enjoying everything, but my goal was to be her arms, their feet, so they didn't have to. So she could go and she could be about welcoming everybody, which you did. I wanted to put that in there. You made sure as soon as someone walked up those steps, you were greeting them. But you had the luxury of just being who you needed to be because you didn't have to worry about the other stuff. And I want to back up to where you were talking about the men showing up. I will give that credit to mine because he has opened up the door for men to feel comfortable to come to these events. And I want to give him his kudos because Chisa, you're always front and center, but men aren't as overly, hey, we're here. That's us women. So we follow your lead. But Mont comes in as a steady, and he's showing without saying anything, men, you are welcome, and you can just be you. So I want to give you that, Mont. But back to being a volunteer, I think in order to make a successful event, you've got to have people that you trust. You've got to be able to allow them to do their job. Otherwise, you can do it. You've got to be able to delegate and move on. And the volunteers have got to be able to pick up your vision, your mantle, and be able to run it as if it was you. So it wasn't my moment to shine and be, I'm Sylvia, the pivotal coach. That didn't matter to me because my function in that space was to be your eyes, your feet. So you didn't have to worry about that. And that's critical when you're creating an event.
Yeah, I mean, and trust me when I tell you, it is always appreciated. And I can say, what to me is a key element to the event is that we have people. You see your comment right there. So we have people that continually come to the events, that travel to the events. And they do that because that they know that there's going to be quality. And then we have people that are like, look, anytime you need me to volunteer, I'll volunteer. Let me know. And, things that people know is it's going to be on time. They know that they're going to get what they were supposed to get, right? And they might even get more than they were supposed to get. And I think that that's a key thing. Now, the other thing I would say that we had was, and we're going to even have more the next time we do something big, was the sponsorship.
Yeah.
And Indulge Catering came through with the breakfast, with the bites and the sips. Okay. I had so many people say, oh my God, the coffee. So one of your former colleagues, LaShawn, I don't remember her name, but the lady that was in the office, right? She's coming in the morning, and I just want to tell this little story. And she's like, oh my God, I'm back there. I got a live to get on. I got a Zoom to get on. I got to run this call. And she's like, I'm brewing my coffee in the background. And I told her, you will not be drinking that coffee today. I told her, listen, we have this special coffee, Black-owned, woman-owned, veteran-owned business right here in the triangle in North Carolina, and they make their own coffee. They got up at 5 something in the morning to make sure our coffee was ready, delivered it, put the whole wonderful spread out. And then the other thing is that I wanted to see her face, because you know I'm that person. I need to see your face when you like something. She was like, okay, well, let me leave my coffee in the back. She gets her cup and she's putting her coffee together. She took one sip and she was like, oh my God, like this was the best coffee ever. That right there was something that I think was amazing. So I am always about, if you are going to do an event and if you're going to do food, you need to do food. Like it needs to taste good. And you also need to try to take as many people into consideration. So we even had a blueberry zucchini muffin. Who's doing that? Like that blueberry zucchini muffin was just as tasty. It was good. We had crumb cake. You didn't taste that one? Oh man, it was so good. But it was like the flavors were there. We had the fresh fruit, and it was enough to, just be beautiful when people walked in. The setup was great. And so I would say to people, to have a successful event, if you are going to have food, make sure you have great food. Make sure your beverages taste great, and try to be as considerate to everybody that's coming up in the audience, right? That fresh fruit was delicious, because I had that fruit, and then they had these little like yogurt dips, their own little brand of yogurt kind of dip. That thing was delicious. So what do you guys say about food? Because not only them, we had Safari Eats, which is another Black-owned Kenyan barbecue. That was the food truck that was out in the back, and I don't think anybody had anything bad to say about them. And the food came out super quick. So did you guys get any food from either one of those?
I did. It was delicious. It was delicious. And I think the part about doing events that you're going to have the food, it's the convenience of it. That I didn't have to figure out, where was I going? Did I have to get in my car? Oh, where's the food? Where are the food places? You made it very convenient that all I had to do was show up. Mm-hmm. And you made it easy to participate, because I knew I was going to have some bites in the morning. If I didn't get my coffee on the way, I could pick it up while I'm working, while you're sitting there, and you made lunch available. That is always a key, where it makes it convenient for your participants. Mm-hmm. That's a shoe-in. So I enjoyed that.
Yes.
And then you also have to promote. Don't forget the spring rolls at the place downstairs.
Yep.
That's people of color. That's on business, but it's in the Chesterfield. So people had several options, and I'm the unique option for all those out there that are like me. I bring my own food, because I never know when and where, if I can eat, when I can eat. So it was very easy for me to get my food, to go ahead and eat and get things in place. And Marvis, I'm going to get on her, because she got on Chisa and I and said, I get to play Mama this time on y'all. Y'all always do for me. I'm going to get on y'all. And she was so adamant. So that's the thing about volunteers. And I bring that up because she was a volunteer, but she came and she was like, have you gone eaten? You see what time it is? Have you got your drink? Did you see what time it is? And then she came back and she played that mama roll to the hill. But she told us, though, so I want to say this, though, because we all said this before, it's how you do it. She didn't come and she wasn't bossy. She wasn't kind of like, I'm mama, y'all listen to me. She made it in a joking manner. And even when we were helping others, she did it in such a way that those people we were talking to laugh and say, she's right. So she was moving us away from the people and interrupting what was going on for our welfare. But none of the people felt that she was a disruptor and interrupting. And that's very key. She still did it in a very welcoming way. And she was very protective. And she was that bulldog, because if somebody else came, they didn't even realize that she was blocking them from coming. But did it in such a nice and tactful, like we say, the Southern Belle way, where you didn't even know that you were being blocked. You thought she was just being so friendly. So that is a key about your volunteers that come. How do they do their job and know they do a job, but they do it in such a way that those who are there don't feel that they're being cast aside. They feel like, oh, you know what? I'm part of, yeah, you need to go eat. They actually were encouraging her on and participating. So I did want to bring that up because that's so key for about the type of people you have as your volunteers and working, even if you're paying them, how they work and how they interact with other people.
Yeah. And the other thing that I would say to add on to that was what we did too, because I am the person who sends the long emails. Some people like them, some people hate them, but I also sent in that before you get to the event. If you want to bring your own food, you can bring your own food. That was an option too, because we know we have a lot of people that have different kind of afflictions or have special needs, and there may be some stuff that we just cannot fill. So just kind of letting people know those things in advance. We didn't tell people like necessarily what the menu was, but what we did was we sent the information for you to be able to go to look at Safari Eats and Spring Rolls before you came, so you could always make an educated decision and kind of know how much you would be spending. But the other thing that I would say that I think is always for us with a successful event is pictures. And we make sure that we always have a photographer there. We try to always, if we can, make sure that people get headshots, because we recognize that in business, you looking good and feeling good is always an important key aspect. And sometimes people just don't forget, they forget pictures. They haven't updated their stuff. So what we did was we had Paul Campbell there. He took pictures all over, inside, outside. He even took pictures of stuff he wasn't even supposed to be taking pictures of. Because when I went through the pictures, I was like, why is this in here? Paul was outside. So when we were missing Paul is taking landscaping pictures, and we were like, why do we have these buildings in here? This has nothing to do with this event. But he did a great job, and he's always one of those welcoming, and a lot of people that were like nervous about taking pictures, oh, I'm not sure. All of a sudden they were up there grinning, taking like a whole glamour shot, and I'm just like, okay, I thought you didn't even want to take a picture. So I think that the photos and the photographer that you have does make a difference in you having a successful event. Did you take any pictures?
No.
He got some action shots though.
He got some action.
Yeah, he got some action shots. So to me, that's always an important part, is having those things, because they're also memories of you having, a good time and you seeing what actually transpired at the event. So does anybody else have any other comments or anything else that you would want to share with our audience that just lets them know about just having a successful event? Any key elements or anything else that we haven't mentioned that you'd like to just kind of touch on?
I would like to say, as far as volunteers are concerned, they have to get along.
Ooh.
You cannot be having power struggles in your volunteers. Me and Marvis, we worked wonderful together, because she was doing her thing, she would let me do my thing, and we would come together, we would have a conversation, and we would leave and go to our own separate corners doing our own thing, but we blended well together. So I want to just give a shout out to my sister, my helper, Miss Marvis. I love you, girl, with your scarf that I had to keep picking up every 20 minutes. But it's okay, because I love you anyway. That was part of my job throughout the day, is to pick up your scarf. But yes, I just want to say it's very needful that your help can get along. Because otherwise they're always running to you or the leader or the head saying, okay, well, they are not letting me do, and they're not. So it's helpful and it's needful that they blend.
That's a great point. I've never had that happen though. I think we always pick great people.
Pick pretty good people.
Yeah. So I've never had that happen, but I have had people try to take over somebody else's thing. And I know I have a very forceful personality. And I remember we went to his cousin's wedding. Remember that? It was a lot going on. And I was like, look, I'm just going to help. Right. And it wasn't like, let me take over, even though it kind of was. But it was just like, I can clearly see that you need more help than these people that are here that are volunteering are doing. And so we just helped out, right? But I think that when you have people that understand servant leadership and that this is for the good of everybody, that we all look good and that the event comes out well, I think that makes a difference. And I would also like to add, having people in position and them being in that position and not being all over the place, because the people that were at registration were at registration. right? And they didn't need to leave because people kept coming throughout the course of the day. So it made it a lot easier to not have to worry about, well, who's checking in, who's doing what, and then everybody else could kind of just, fill in where they needed to fill in. LaShawn, did you have anything else you wanted to, just any other kind of observations or any other things that can help make events successful?
Of course, I got a whole laundry list, but I'm gonna make it short. So first of all, I think, and I'm speculating, which your photographer may have been doing, which is so important by taking the pictures outside. It's not just about the inside of a building where you have an event. That's important. It's also about the outside of a building, where people are coming to, how they feel coming to that building makes a big, big statement. So I think he was letting people know where it was and how it was and that type of thing. The second thing I want to bring up is the fact that you were doing this in co-sponsorship with Durham Tech Small Business Center. And the thing about it is that you empowered them and they were where they were supposed to be. And you made their lives easier because there's a lot going on with the Small Business Center. I used to be the director. So there's a lot of moving parts for them. But you made it such that they were involved and they were able to be active. So when you have people you're co-hosting, co-sponsoring things, you get them involved, but you get them involved knowing where they are and what they need to do. It's everybody get a win-win situation. The third thing is about the people who you had at the tables. I felt that those people were very, very, very beneficial to a lot of people, even the last minute people who came because, and that's the thing about doing events. I went to 2 events in 2 days, 2 summits. And both of you all had people that backed out in less than 24 hours. Yep. Both of you. And
but did you know it though?
Huh?
That's the thing. Even though that happened, did you know it? No, because there was a fill-in and you helped get that fill-in.
And the thing about it is the fill-in worked in so well. Nobody even knew that was a fill-in. We put things together and things of that nature. But it gave opportunity because one young lady who was invited, because we got 2 fill-ins. Actually, not 1, 2. She interacted with a lot of people. She was new to the area. She was so excited that she was even able to be there. But even the tables, you had, North Carolina Central University, which is in Durham, which is where the event was held. You had University of North Carolina School of Law that was there, which is another component of Durham Tech. So the diversity of people. Even the exhibitors are like, man, I felt like a little reunion because I got to see some people I hadn't seen for a while. So even the camaraderie of those who were at the table, some of us were meeting for the first time, but people were able to go around and talk, and it wasn't like competition. So I felt that was something I also wanted to bring up. And then the last thing I think was the openness of the space. The openness of the space really, really helped people to feel free, especially amid COVID. So we allowed people to be free as well as wear masks. If you felt comfortable wearing masks, and I was one because I'm around people who can't get the shots, so I tend to wear a mask at most places. So it wasn't out of place. Nobody made anybody feel any particular kind of way, whether they wore it or not. People were dressed differently. People had different personalities. Like you said, there were different ethnic groups. We had even people in the building who started coming around saying, what was this? Oh, let me go around and get some information. So Black Biz Summit was Black priority, but it wasn't exclusivity. It was about business of business. And the last thing I'm going to put out here was the type of people who came. That's what made the event. And I believe the way that you had presented what was going to happen and what was going to be there, even though this event was free, let me put that out there, but this was a free event. But not every Tom, Dick, and Harry came to the event. Okay. It was about the fact that it was the opportunity for people to interact. They knew the type of things that we were going to talk about. This wasn't a thing about let's just start your business, nor was it a time to come and start about a pity party. That's another thing. This was about let's be about the business. This is a summit for you to come to be about your business. And if you happen to be Black, we will focus on you, but everybody who comes got something out of the session.
Definitely. Okay. That was an amazing wrap up. But Marvish dropped something in the chat, right? She said, and I don't even know how I forgot that. She said, let's not forget the meditation room. We focus on mental health as a major component of what we do at Give It to the People. And I felt like there needed to be a conference that would actually give you space to just be by yourself, or space to not be around people or as many people. So we had the meditation room set up. We had yoga mats down. We had fresh eucalyptus, which Marvis loved the eucalyptus. We had our affirmation cards out there, mindfulness cards. We had our Zen gardens out there, beautiful music playing in the background. So as soon as you walked in, it changed your energy. It changed the tone of everything. So everything is busy. It's a lot of people. It's noise. When you went into that room, it was calm. And I love the fact that it was so many people that said, well, where's the meditation room? Like, I just want to go to the meditation room. And so when they went in there and then they came back, they were like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And I want people to really understand that we have to take time out for ourselves. And I think that, for me, my theme during the whole course of the day was that you can achieve certain things, that you need to plan stuff out, and don't make things so complicated for yourself. And so for me, that was kind of like my message throughout the course of the day with everything that we were doing. Now, we did have a question. So Sheba's on, and Sheba said, she said that she wanted to know, like, how do you get volunteers? So we didn't necessarily talk about how to get volunteers in this one. That might be another thing that we talk about, and we could maybe do another live stream on that. But what I would say for me is to get people, like Sylvia said, that you trust, to get people that are actually going to work. Because I have seen people that say that they're volunteering and they just want to, say that they're doing that so they can get in for free. Now, even though our event was free, but you want people that you don't have to push so much in order to do things, and people that are happy to be there. So I would say to look for people with a general great disposition, because that to me is always a key. Look at how people handle themselves. And I'm going to say this just so you can kind of get a real understanding. When I started doing these big conferences like this, I started because I went to, I think it was the second year that GTCC had the Small Business Summit. So from the second year to I took it over the 10th year, I started as a volunteer because I saw that they needed help while I was there. Like, they needed people to pick up papers and stuff. I wasn't even teaching then, right? Like, at this time, I just went because I knew I wanted to be in business. And then I started talking to them. I built a rapport. Then I started working with them, and they became like the largest client that I have. And so for me, it was that servant leadership of starting out by being a volunteer and seeing what could be improved. And then when we took it over, we had the biggest summit that they had ever had in 2020. We'll see if it comes back around again, but our priority is the things that we do here. So for us, I just want you to understand that we are shifting, right? Because if you're going to do one thing, we try to set stuff up so that this way there's also something that happens afterwards. So, I like to tell people, okay, when you finish one event, hopefully you already have the next thing planned. So we are going to do the PodBiz Summit on October 1st. It is not free, but it is an all-day thing. It is a catered lunch. It is also going to give you the things that you need in order for your business to be, for you to turn your podcast into a business. If you don't have a podcast, you can come and work on creating that there. And then you can find out the things that you need to do in order to allow your voice to help you make money. And I don't think of a podcast as just like something that I'm doing just because I want to do it. I think of it as something that when I start to see people like Earn Your Leisure, when I start to see, I don't know if you saw Meghan Markle's podcast, just knocked Joe Rogan off. She's trending in all of these countries. People are getting $1 million deals to do podcasting. So we're going to be doing that October 1st. And should I tell them the announcement, y'all? What do y'all think? LaShonda, Sylvia, should we give them the announcement? Okay, hold up. Mark, you ready for the announcement? You want to say it or you want me to say it?
No, you're going to say it.
I'm going to say it? You're not going to say it? Okay. Okay, I'm going to shake ahead of time. So we just signed a lease for a lovely, beautiful, wonderful studio space today. And that means we can help you do your curated conferences, but we want to still keep them small because we like micro gatherings. So you don't even know how stressed I have been because I have wanted to have a space for the longest time. And so now we talked about what we were going to do. And as of today, September 1st, we signed our new lease. So we have a new space that's going to be in Greensboro. And we'll invite you out for all of the good things and all of that. But everything that we talked about tonight, what I realized is everybody doesn't have a me. And everybody doesn't have a Mr. Brown, okay? They don't. Everybody doesn't have a LaShawn. They don't all have a Sylvia. They don't have a Marcus, right? So when we think about the things that we can do, like LaShawn said, I always like to make things easier for people. And so when we decided, okay, well, what can we do? We know that there's a lot of small businesses who want to do these things, but you do not have to start big. You can start small and then you can build it up. You can make your money with a small audience. That's the important thing for people to understand, because if you just think that your first thing is going to be 1 million people, it's probably not, and then you're going to be sad and disappointed. So we have the ability to help you do small things up to 25 people, so that this way it helps you to build your business, helps you to reach the people that you want to reach, and we do the things for you. So what you need to do is show up and show out, right? Like that's really what you need to do. So you'll be seeing some new stuff. We're going to be updating the website, all of that good stuff. And so just FYI, LaShawn's going to be having an event at the new space in October. Sylvia has not given me her date yet. Sylvia, when are you doing yours? What month are we doing?
I'm trending to November.
Okay, so Sylvia's going to be doing her event in November. Okay, she said she's trending to November. You better trend to November, girl. And so these are some of the things that we wanted to bring to you, because anybody that has done a conference, anybody that has led these types of events, talks, chats, panels, all of that, you know how frustrating it can be. But wouldn't it be so much easier if you had somebody who was already great at doing those things, who already has had a trend of successful events to be able to help you? And so that's some of the stuff that we're going to do. So I just want to thank you ladies, everybody that's on, that's watching live, and everybody that's going to watch this on the replay. And I hope that you have gained some of those little nuggets that people talk about, but just some insight into what you can do to make your event successful. Does anybody have any final words?
Thank you for bringing the event. Thank you for the idea. Thank you for celebrating Black Business Month in such a positive way, without making people feel exclusive. Thank you for being you, because like we said, authenticity is the key to success, and it's the key to longevity. So thank you for doing it for our businesses in the area, because I work in the Durham area. And so I just want to thank you on behalf of those in the Durham area and the businesses in the Durham area that for giving that opportunity for this event, as well as it sparked the idea of, hey, we need to have some more like this, even if it's just not the Black business, but for business summits of all different types. So it sparked, it sparked, and you know I'm the igniter, so I like sparks.
You better spark it, girl. But yeah, and I mean, I think we can, the goal for just FYI is for us to be able to travel it to different areas around the state. So we're not going to do another one this year, but just expect that there will be some Black biz related things next year. All right. But yeah. All right, Sylvia, you have any final words?
I just want to say thank you too, because you guys, without you being at the helm, we wouldn't have had last week. So I just want to tell you guys thank you.
Oh,
because you have made so many opportunities available to us, whether it was this summit or many summits prior. You've opened up many doors and opportunities for us as business owners, whether we're Black, white, yellow, polka dotted, it doesn't matter. You've opened up many opportunities for us to learn, to grow, and to increase who we are as individuals. And I just want to say thank you. And I did forget to tell you, the person I was talking to said this, and it means a lot. She said, every time I go to anything Chisa has, it's going to be of excellence. She said that it's from the time you walk in the door, it's as if she already knew what I needed before I came. So yeah, she said that I knew when I was going to this event and it was Chisa, I knew it was going to be excellent. So I wasn't surprised that when I left, she met that quota. So I just wanted to give you that. You always give that level of excellency. And I just want to tell you, thank you.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you to the people. Chisa's giving it to the people.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you guys again for being on. We appreciate all of your feedback. I love the fact that you just gave great viewpoints about, and just advice about people having successful events. And we look forward to bringing some more great events to you here in this state and other states in the world, wherever we can go ahead and just make sure that we can give it to the people. Because LaShawn's been trying to get me out of the country for a little while. So we will be getting out of this country, okay? At some point in time. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that for all of our events, we are going to be updating the website over the next week or so, but you can still go to giveittothepeople.com and get all the events, find out what's going on, and you can definitely register for PodBiz Summit on October 1st, and make sure that you always show up and show out and continue to give it to the people. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Shout out to Dr. Henderson.
Come on, Dr. Henderson.